There was a young boy named Steve. Steve loved exploring, and always curious about what was inside the mine. But because he is still a child, Steve is not allowed to go into the mining area. When he grows up, Steve decides to return to the same mining area, bringing some tools with him. Even though he is still told not to go in, Steve manages to sneak inside. Inside the mine, he finds a cube-shaped artifact and its container. When the two items are combined, a portal opens, leading to another world called the Overworld. In the Overworld, every living creature looks like a cube. Steve then befriends a wolf, which he names Dennis. Surprisingly, Steve also gains the ability to build anything he imagines using cubes. With this new power, Steve creates his dream world. But everything changes when Steve finds a mysterious ruin that leads to the Nether, a dark world ruled by an evil wizard named Malgoza. To save his dream world, Steve sacrifices himself so that Dennis can escape with the combined cube. Dennis hides the cube in the real world, right under Steve's bed. Years later, we meet a former video game champion, Garrett, who is now struggling with money at his shop. Garrett, running out of funds, starts looking for valuable items to sell, joining an auction for second-hand goods. Instead of finding what he wanted, Garrett ends up discovering the combined cube belonging to Steve and takes it home, unaware of its power. At the same time, two siblings, Henry and Natalie, arrive in the city. After their mother passed away, the siblings decided to start fresh in a new town. Once they arrive, they talk to a real estate agent named Don. When Henry visits Garrett's video game store, he sees the combined cube on display. Henry is a very smart and creative kid who can build a jetpack and make it fly. However, he doesn't know that his friend has sabotaged the jetpack, and it ends up flying uncontrollably, crashing into the mascot statue at Natalie's workplace. As a result, Henry is called to the school office and threatened with expulsion. Not wanting to disappoint his sister, Henry decides to pay Garrett to pretend to be his uncle. A while later, Henry becomes curious about the combined cube in Garrett's store. Despite a warning not to combine the items, Henry puts the two parts of the cube together. This leads them to the mining area where Steve had gone before. Meanwhile, Natalie, who is worried, asks Don for help, and they manage to track Henry's location. When they all arrive at the same place, they are sucked into a mysterious portal leading to another dimension. They end up in the Overworld, a colorful world they have never seen before. However, Malgoza notices their arrival, and orders Steve to bring the combined cube. Steve is forced to obey, because Malgoza threatens to kill Dennis if Steve doesn't listen. That night, while Henry and his friends are walking around, they are attacked by evil skeleton soldiers. Here, Henry gains the same building abilities as Steve. He quickly builds a simple fort to protect them. Unfortunately, the evil creatures manage to break through the defense. Just when they are cornered, Steve arrives and defeats the evil army. After the short battle, Steve asks for his cube back, but Natalie refuses, saying it's the only way for them to return to the real world. Steve explains that the chaos earlier has broken the cube's container, meaning there is no way back to the real world. However, there is still hope. They can make a new container using special crystals that can only be found in the Woodland Mansion. With no other choice, Natalie and the others agree to give the cube back to Steve, as long as he helps them find the new container. Before they begin their journey, Steve invites them to rest in a village he created. With his unique ability called the craft table, Steve can create all kinds of tools using the materials he chooses. While Henry is busy making weapons, Garrett takes this opportunity to talk to Steve. It turns out that Garrett secretly took the combined cube from Henry without him knowing. In exchange for the cube, Steve agrees to take Garrett to a diamond mine. Shortly after, Malgoza's army attacks the village to steal the cube. Steve and his friends fight back against the army, but because they are outnumbered, they have to escape using wings that Steve made. They land far away from Malgoza's army. Meanwhile, Natalie and Don, who got separated, try to catch up with the others. When they are attacked by zombie soldiers, they meet Dennis, who agrees to guide them. The next day, Steve and his friends continue their journey to the Woodland Mansion. Along the way, Steve starts telling him about Malgoza's past. It turns out that when Malgoza participated in a talent show, people make fun of her because of Malgoza's strange appearance. After that, Malgoza became evil, determined to destroy the world with the power of the combined cube. Meanwhile, Malgoza sends a new army, led by a pig monster named Hawk, because her previous army failed to capture the cube. When they reach the diamond mine, Garrett accidentally steps on a trap and opens the entrance to the diamond storage. But soon after, Hawk's army attacks the place, forcing them to leave without taking any diamonds. As Hawk gets closer, Henry and his friends manage to escape by riding a special train that moves quickly, destroying the diamond mine behind them. After they escape, Henry and Garrett argue. Henry is upset because Garrett put their safety at risk for the diamonds. Garrett admits his mistake and apologizes, explaining that he needed the diamonds to save his struggling business. But Henry reassures him that he will always be there for him. In short, they finally arrive near the Woodland Mansion, where the new cube container is hidden. Steve admits that he built the mansion before it was taken over by evil creatures. He explains that the mansion has 3 floors. The first floor is guarded by masked executioners. The second floor is full of evokers, dangerous dark witches. The container they need is on the 3rd floor, guarded by a mysterious and powerful creature called an Enderman. Steve warns them to be careful because the Enderman can manipulate anyone who looks directly into its eyes. After that, Garrett returns the combined cube to Henry. Garrett apologizes for taking the item without Henry knowing. While Steve and Garrett distract the enemies, Henry sneaks into the 3rd floor. But he gets caught, so Steve and Garrett are dragged into an arena to fight. Here, Garrett is forced to fight a small but deadly creature, while Steve is tied up and watches. Eventually, Steve frees himself, working together with Garrett to defeat their opponent. At the same time, Henry fights the Enderman guarding the area. After defeating the creature, Henry gets a pearl, an item that allows its user to teleport. Once they leave the mansion, Henry and his friends find themselves facing Malgoza, who comes with her army. Malgoza eventually captures the combined cube and escapes. Not wanting to stand idly by, Henry and Steve take a hot air balloon to chase Malgoza. But here, Garrett decides to sacrifice himself so that his friends can continue the journey. Thanks to Garrett's sacrifice, Henry and Steve manage to escape from Malgoza's army. After an accident that causes the balloon to crash, Henry and Steve lose consciousness. A while later, they wake up in a house where Natalie, Don, and Dennis are staying. They explain that they found Henry and Steve with Dennis's help. With the combined cube in her hands, she starts spreading chaos and darkness across the overworld, so her army can move freely without fear of the sun. Malgoza orders her army to destroy the overworld to seize all the gold in the world. Realizing the danger ahead, Steve and his friends start making weapons to fight Malgoza's army. Soon after, a big battle takes place. Giant golems lead the charge against Hawk, the main commander of Malgoza's army. On the other side, Steve faces Malgoza directly, charging at him bravely. But unfortunately, Steve fails and is hit by Malgoza. Meanwhile, Don begins summoning a pack of wolves, led by Dennis, to fight the pig monster army. Meanwhile, the siblings try to reclaim the combined cube to stop the nether portal from blocking the sunlight. Henry takes advantage of the chaos, and uses the Enderman Pearl to teleport to the cube. But during this action, Henry is hit by a long-range attack from a pig monster and falls from a height. Luckily, Garrett saves him, and together, they use the hot air balloon to shoot fireballs at the portal. The portal collapses, and sunlight returns. This causes Malgoza's army to struggle, making it easier to defeat them. The combined cube is secured by Natalie. The remaining Malgoza forces can no longer fight, and one by one, they vanish under the sunlight. Malgoza herself collapses before Steve. After saving the overworld, it's time to return home. Although Steve initially wanted to stay, he changes his mind after Natalie invites him to bring this magic to the real world. So this time, Steve decides to go home. Since then, Garrett, who was on the verge of bankruptcy, has become the most famous person in his town. Together with his friends, they create a video game called Block City Battle Buddies, inspired by their adventures in the overworld. Meanwhile, Dawn quits her job and hosts a party throughout the city with Dennis. Natalie becomes a martial arts teacher, and Henry successfully creates a working jetpack, proving that his dream has come true.